In this video, I'm going to show you how to sidechain in Ableton. So I have my track Voodoo Ranger Kind of Night pulled up. I'll play you a little bit of it. I know, some shameless self-promotion, but I actually resampled this one little beat from Yoshi's Story from N64. It sounds like this. It's sped up, but right? Pretty dope beat, then goes into this, right? So I kind of like built a song around it in a sense, resampling it. Super housey, and then goes into like this kind of groove. I'll show you this kind of like one drop here. Right? So anyway, going to the main point of this video, again, some shameless self-promotion. I do have a link list below in the description if you want to check out the track. But you may notice I have a bunch of stuff going on here in Ableton, and I have this right here. I call it ST. I don't know why. I think I should have called it SC, but I just typed it wrong on my keyboard. And this is activating, especially if I go down here to this, sidechain compression. Now, to briefly explain what this is, and I'm oversimplifying this a lot for my beginners out there, all sidechaining is when you basically duck one sound or turn one sound down when something else tells you to do it. I think a good analogy when it comes to sidechain compression is think of, like, say, when you're younger, you're playing music on your stereo, right? You're listening to music, you're jamming out, and you hear people talking maybe in your house, maybe hear the TV on, and your mom comes in and says, hey, turn that down. And you only turn down your stereo when your mom comes in. In a sense, that's what's happening with sidechain compression. And when it comes to sidechain, there's mainly two uses. One is to create a louder mix down when it comes to the loudness war that exists in EDM. And the second one is more for taste. If, like, say, you want to create like a certain thing, especially when it comes to, like, say, future bass music and other styles of music, you know, you could use it almost for taste purposes. So I'm going to show you how to do it. So first thing, I'm going to create a MIDI track. I'm using samples here, but just to explain more in detail, it's easier, in my opinion, when it comes to using it with MIDI. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to type in notes, like so. I'm just going to show you. And what's happening is I'm going to put the notes that any single time these play, like this, the sidechain should happen. Now, typically, you want to sidechain, typically, not always, there's different ways to do it. You want to sidechain to your kick, right? So if you think about it, in this track, it's a house track. You know, as you can hear, the beats are happening on each, it's basically 4 on the floor, right? So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's when I want to be sidechained. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find a sample. I'm going to go, actually, the scroll pack. It doesn't really matter, actually, as much as you think about the sample. And this is actually fairly important because the nature of the sidechain is in relation to your kick. So I can just do one. I find something that looks like this with something in the, so that looks good to me. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, and I'm going to shrink it down. All I really want, it seems almost odd in the beginning when you're like, wait, I don't get it. You're kind of creating like a fake signal in a sense. So if I solo this, that's exactly what I want. I just want something that's going to trigger it, is the best way to think about it, right? So at this point now, I'm going to mute this. I don't want that playing, right? I'm going to pull this up. I'm actually going to turn this one off so I can show you. So, actually, I wonder if I want to do, you know what, I'm going to bring this here, actually. This is going to be easier to explain this. Okay, so if I go here, I have this right now. Right? This is what I have. Actually, I'll just keep the bass in to show you. So now, I have my sidechain kind of set of this little click in a way. I have the MIDI notes basically saying, here's when the sidechain is going to take place. Now let's create the sidechain compression itself. I'm going to click compressor, pull up like so. I'm going to click this arrow right here to open it up. I like to go to this one when it comes to sidechaining. You could do either view. I know some people like this one. It doesn't really matter. It's all the same. I'm going to turn EQ off for now, and I'm going to click sidechain, right? I'm going to click the audio input is going to be this. Now, I'll call the sidechain for the nature of this video, right? So when I go back here, I'm going to go to audio input from sidechain. So essentially, this is going to happen. This compressor, if you think about it, is only going to activate when these MIDI notes are being played. So now when I play this, you can see this is happening, right? If I So you can see I have this right here. Now, when it comes to these knobs, there's mainly 4 I think you need to think about, and that's ratio, attack, release, and threshold. Attack and release. Attack, how quickly does the sidechain kick in? Release, how quickly does it get released? Then threshold is once it crosses a certain threshold or a point, that's when it's going to be activated. And the ratio is kind of the intensity of the sidechain. So I typically put ratio super high. I usually put attack super low. Release, I feel out. So I usually do this almost every time. And then threshold, I also feel out. So now, what you're going to notice is, when I play this now, on every beat, because that's how I set up the sidechain, it's going to trigger, right? So if I do this super aggressive, see? Sounds kind of ridiculous. Now, at this point, I might just feel it out. And this is also why I don't do this, because if you notice, watch the yellow thing again. See how it kind of like stays around a while? As opposed to here, if I do this, which is what you should be doing, see how it's a lot quicker now, right? Now this may seem a little ridiculous, like wait, like that sounds so odd and weird. The main thing is in the mix, you typically sidechain to the kick. So I have my kick here, this groove right here, right? So if you think about, if I play these two together, soloing these two, you almost don't even notice it, and the main reason why is in this situation, and this is where it's the most classic example of sidechaining, I'm having my kick hit first, everything else kind of swooping and coming back in. That way, I don't have any confliction when it comes to the phase cancellation. So for example, if I have this, well, on this first note, I want that kick to kind of punch through. So I could copy this, and now, to solo this, right? So it takes, I mean, a very, very short period of time for it to now kind of come back to normal. So now I have this. Right, and then going back to here. And this, again, where taste comes into play. Now release, if I do this, right, if I do this. So if I have this, for example, oh wait, yeah, I was like, wait, that should be working. I was on the wrong one. So if I do this, right, you're almost not hearing anything, because it's almost never releasing, and almost too quick. Right, so I could do that, for example. Now I have this. Now I can kind of go for taste. Now the rest of these you don't really have to touch, in my opinion. I would leave this as is. You could adjust the knee. It's almost like, I think it's easier to see it here. Right, because if I do this, no one changes the curvature of it. Not really as necessary, in my opinion. So the knee you can kind of leave as is, but you can see this is kind of the viewpoint now of the audio. So you can see kind of ducking and then swooping back in, ducking and swooping back in. And that's what's happening when you're doing sidechain compression. So like I said, the biggest thing, create a MIDI track, put in pretty much any sample. I think it kicks easiest, but make sure you shrink it to this. Make sure you shrink it, because I'll show you this as an example, actually, just for this reference. Like say I'm like, oh, I'm going to sidechain it to this kick. This is how the kick sounds. There's bass elements in it, though. So if I sidechain it, this is how it would sound. And this is why it's easier to create, I think, or better, to create your own sidechain. Where is it, actually? That's 8. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. So if I have this now, see how it like it's not fully like for a sidechain. You just want to kind of duck quick and have that the kind of curvature I showed you before. You really want something that looks like this. Let me actually bring the threshold down. Right, something like that. I can also adjust it here, I guess, but for me though, I like this view better when it comes to all the different numbers and specifics. And then I like going to this and just kind of seeing the actual like visualness of it, right? So you can see kind of right here. Actually make the release a little higher, I think. And then I'd have to copy and paste this now. Right. now in the mix, right? Now, lastly, one thing I will say, this is more for processing power, also for maybe to make it more similar across different elements in your track, is I typically delete this. I'm just going to copy this. And you may have noticed on top, I have it right here. So what I'm doing is I'm sending all the elements that I consider the top, typically like synths, in this case, the resampling that I did here and stuff like that, and I'm sending it to one chain, and I'm now sidechaining. I'm going to delete this to show you, because you can see I have this one kick right here that I just did the samples of. So super tight, right? If I play this, all I have, right? So now, let me go back to this drop, because there's more stuff going on. Right, you can see I have this here. I should probably do this some more if I want to. Right?